All right, find yourself your most comfortable position. You're welcome to be in a chair like I am. You can sit on the floor. You might like to recline today. It's up to you. Figure out what's gonna be the best for your body, and then we'll just arrive in the body. Most of us spend the majority of our time up in our heads, and our body is just this like vessel that carries our brain around. But let's feel really into the body. Feel the weight of the feet on the floor. Feel the weight of the hips, the legs. Feel the weight of the head. And I'll invite you to tuck the chin just a little bit. A lot of us naturally sit with our chin forward. And if we just slightly pull it back, we get the nice skull over the spine, and we can actually sit with a lot less tension in the neck. And so maybe you experiment with that, jutting the chin forward a little bit and then pulling it back so that the skull sits over the spine, sits over the hips, so we can let our strong bones do the work instead of our muscles. And then we'll put a tiny bit of mindful movement into all 7 of the biggest joints in our body. And we'll start with the neck, just some nice, easy head rolls. We'll do maybe 4 or 5 in each direction, and really do take your time here. There's no rush. And if you feel any places that feel like they're holding tension or they're stiff or sticky, you can always linger there. And you might hear some pops or clicks, and that's usually fine. It's often air moving about, or it's only if you're experiencing pain that we want to definitely take stock, back off. And if you choose to come back in, do so mindfully. And if you haven't yet changed directions, now might be a good time to do so. Just feeling into all 360 degrees that the neck can bend. It's pretty remarkable. It's pretty amazing that we're able to, drop our ears to our shoulders, that we're able to look up and look down. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to that nice tall seat, that skull over the spine, over the hips. And we'll gently come into the shoulders. And again, you might bring them up towards the ears and put some intentional tension and then let it all go. Or you might like to do some big shoulder rolls. Again, more slowly than you're capable of is usually really nice for feeling into where are the sticky pot spots rather than just bypassing those. You might do one shoulder at a time, left and then right, and see if there's any differences. And it's not necessarily better or worse if there are. We're just noticing that we're not quite as symmetric as sometimes we like to imagine. And then if you haven't switched directions, now could be a good time to switch from going back to forward or the other way around. Lovely. And then we'll move into the wrists, and maybe it's opening and closing the fingertips or rolling the wrists in one direction or the other. Some people like to interlace the fingers and do some figure eights, but we're just bringing some movement into the wrists and into the hands. And again, slow and steady is great. There's no need to be fast and no need to be intense. 80% is always good enough. You might like to point and flex the hands, stretching into the wrists, or you might like to shake them out and feel some of the tension get out of the fingers, because we unknowingly, much like the neck and sometimes the low back, can hold some tension in the hands, and they're accidentally in fists when really we could let them be light and let them be easy. Lovely. And then we'll come back again to this nice tall seat, arriving in the body, feeling how the body is today and accepting it for however we have shown up. And then we'll come into the hips, maybe leaning forward and back, tucking the tailbone under, and then letting the low back sway. Or maybe coming into some nice, slow, gentle hip circles where we can test our balance potentially a little bit, coming from one hip bone, leaning back, the other hip bone, tipping forward, but letting it be easy and letting it feel safe in the body. If we go too far in one direction and then we feel unstable and unsafe, maybe we've gone too far. And then again, if you haven't shifted directions, maybe you go the other way and go the other side, and then back to round the spine and to the opposite side, and then forward to let the back arch a little bit. And then coming back, taking your time. There's truly no rush here whatsoever. We can wind back up towards a nice tall seat, and we'll do a little bit of side bending. So choose a side of your choice and think about getting nice and long in the opposite side. And you can keep the hand down, or you might like to bring the hand up overhead, or you might like to rest the hand on top of the head or on the shoulder. It's really up to you, but we're going to breathe into that stretching side. So thinking about expanding the lungs on that side, about bringing the breath into the ribs, and then using the abs to come back into a nice tall seat and going to the other side. And some people like a more static stretch where you stay in the same position for several breaths. And other people like a more dynamic stretch where you're moving with the breath and going from side to side. There's not one right or wrong way. Ask your body what would feel good. The biggest thing we're trying to do is expand those intercostal muscles between the ribs and help the body relax enough so that we can bring in even more oxygen and have an even deeper breath that feels comfortable in the body. And then when you're ready, again, no rush, coming back to that nice tall seat. And if there's any movements that would feel good in your body, maybe stretching out the legs long and then bringing them back, rolling the ankles, maybe pointing and flexing the toes, or anything else. Now is a great time to do that, finding whatever movements would feel good in your body, so that when we are ready to be still, the body feels like it can truly relax, that we've moved it, and now we can find some stillness. If you like to close your eyes, you can. If you'd rather lower your gaze or find a drishti, a point of focus that is maybe on the opposite wall, maybe a little speck of something, that's also warmly welcome. And then we'll find the breath. Where do you feel the breath in your body? Common places are the upper lip, the chest, or the belly. But you might explore seeing what the breath feels like in an extremity. Can you send the breath to a hand? or to the knees? Can you feel this expansion and contraction all the way down to your feet? And then can you make the breath easier, gentler, maybe extending the exhale a little bit? Maybe quieting the body, letting gravity do its work. And we'll set an intention, if you like, for the practice. This might be something you've been working with for a long time or something that just popped into your head today. It's nice to say these intentions in present tense. I am here. I am relaxed. I come back to the present moment, or anything else that has come up for you. And then repeat your intention a few times. Send it out into the universe. And let the universe conspire to help make it so. I'll invite you to join me in some box breathing. Your box can be any length. I like to go for 4 or 5 seconds per side, but shorter or longer might be better in your body today. And if you're someone who is uncomfortable with the breath retentions, holding the breath at the top and holding the breath at the bottom, that's fine. You can simply breathe in and out equally, focusing on the breath. You're still going to get benefits from it. And we would hate to have the body go into a fight or flight mode because it's scared of the breath hold. So don't push yourself if that's the case for you today. We'll inhale and hold the breath at the top. And exhale. And hold the breath at the bottom. And then carrying on like this in your own time, inhaling and hold and exhaling and hold. And I'll call you back in a minute or two. Take your time. There's no rush. We'll do one more round of box breathing, inhaling And holding the breath at the top. Exhaling fully. And then holding the breath out at the bottom for as long as you like. And letting the breath return to what feels natural in your body. In and out. Nice and easy. Maybe doing a quick body scan and seeing if there's any places in your body that have become tight or constricted, and seeing if you can relax those. Or maybe you need to mindfully adjust your position so that you're a little more comfortable. Go ahead and do that. We don't need to cling to discomfort, and we do not have to earn the right to be comfortable. If there's something in our power, even to just make us 1 or 2% more comfortable, we should take it. We should do that thing. I have a poem for you today about staying in this present moment, and it is called Being Here by Vincent O'Sullivan. And he was the Poet Laureate of New Zealand. And it goes like this. It has to be a thin world, surely, if you ask for an emblem at every turn. If you cannot see the bees arcing and mining the soft, decaying galaxies of the laden apricot tree without wanting symbols, which of course are manifold, symbols of so much else. What's amiss with simply the huddle and glut of bees, with those fuzzed globes by the hundred, and the clipped out sky beyond them, and the leaves that are black if you angle the sun directly behind them, being themselves, for themselves. I hold out my palms like the opened pages of a book, and you pile apricots on them stacked 3 deep. We ask, just who can we give them to round here who hasn't had their whack of apricots as it is? And I let my hands tilt, and the plastic bag that you hold, restless and plumps with their rush. I hold one back and bite into it, and its taste is the taste of the color exactly, and this hour precisely. And memory, I expect, is storing for an afternoon far removed from here, when the warm-furred, almost weightlessness of the fruit I hold might very well be a symbol of what's lost, and we keep wanting, which after all is to crave the real, the branches cutting across the sun. You standing there while I tell you, come on, you have to try one. And you do. And the clamor of bees goes on above us. This will do, both of us saying, like this, being here. I'll invite you to take a big breath in and an audible sigh out. And then come back to this moment. Often we go through our day and we are distracted by the future. We worry about what's to come next. Or we are distracted by the past. We are preoccupied with something we did or said, or something someone else did or said, that we spend so little time in this present moment and this present moment. And so while you may not have bees and apricot trees to bring you back into this world, this moment, and this moment, there are things we can do to slow things down When you're drinking a tea, acknowledge, I am drinking a tea. And then spend a few minutes feeling the warm mug, taking in the scent, the taste. Even if it's just a few minutes, we can spend those few minutes in the now instead of worrying or lamenting. This is a hard ask, so be gentle with yourself. And when you realize you're not in the present moment, we just say, thinking, or feeling. And we just come back to whatever it is we're doing. I am